All right, buckle up, everybody. Today we are diving deep into the life of a truly fascinating and terrifying figure,
Oh, yeah.
Charles Sobhraj,
Uh-huh.
the Serpent,
Yeah.
the Bikini Killer.
The splitting killer.
We've got some articles
Mm-hmm.
and some biographical info,
Mm.
and we are going to see if we can't uncover
Yeah.
what made this guy tick.
Well, right off the bat, what strikes me is how he just embodies the classic con man.
Yeah.
Just like a chameleon blending in, gaining trust, and then exploiting that trust.
It's really wild how he was able to do that.
It is. Like, it's almost a blueprint.
He wasn't just a criminal.
Right.
He was a master manipulator.
He was.
So let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
Sobhraj's story starts in 1944
Mm-hmm.
in Saigon,
Uh-huh.
born as Hanchan Banani Gurmukh Sobhraj,
Wow.
to an Indian father and a Vietnamese mother.
Okay.
And his early life was,
Right.
let's just say, messy,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah.
His parents never married,
Okay.
and he faced a lot of instability and neglect.
And that early abandonment
Yeah.
seems to have really left its mark. I mean, you see this a lot with con artists, that
Right.
need for control, for validation,
Mhm.
and it often stems from a lack of it
Yeah,
in those formative years.
absolutely. So maybe that's where those manipulation tactics were starting to form.
Maybe.
Because as a teenager,
Mhm.
he's already dabbling in petty crime,
Yeah.
ending up in prison in 1963
Uh-huh.
for burglary.
And here's where we see those manipulation skills
Yeah.
really start to sharpen.
Oh, yeah.
Even in prison.
Wow.
He's working the system,
Really?
getting special favors from guards.
Yeah, I mean, talk about practicing.
It's like he was practicing for a much bigger stage.
Wow. Yeah, so he gets out of prison
Right.
and gets a taste of the high life in Paris,
Yeah.
funded by, you guessed it, more crime.
Of course.
So he meets and marries Chantal Compagnon,
Okay.
but their Parisian dream is cut short
Oh.
by yet another arrest warrant. So instead of facing the music,
What does he do?
he takes his pregnant wife
Wow.
and flees to Asia.
Wow. And this is interesting because he used this escape as a chance to really refine his criminal toolkit.
Oh, really?
Think about it.
Okay.
Forging documents,
Yeah.
robbing tourists,
Uh-huh.
all while on the run
Right.
across continents
It's like an apprenticeship
with his wife and kid, no less.
for international crime.
Yeah.
So they land in Mumbai.
Okay.
Chantal gives birth to their daughter,
Uh-huh.
but Sobhraj is still running this car theft
Right.
and smuggling ring.
Yeah.
But then another arrest
Oh.
in 1973
Mhm.
after a botched jewelry store robbery.
And I bet you're thinking,
Yeah, he escapes again.
he escapes again.
Right.
He fakes an illness,
Classic.
gets transferred to a hospital, and poof,
Gone.
he's gone.
I mean, it's a pattern at
Yeah.
this point.
It is.
And this escape, with Chantal's help,
Right.
really shows you how he used people
Oh, yeah.
to his advantage.
This.
So he goes to Kabul,
Okay.
robs more tourists,
That's.
gets arrested again,
Yeah.
uses the same fake illness trick to escape.
Really?
I mean, he's got a playbook
He
for
does.
breaking out of jail.
It's like he's adding to his repertoire every time, learning new ways to exploit weaknesses in the system.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the context here.
Right.
The hippie trail of the 1970s,
Right.
with its free-spirited travelers
Yeah.
and its sense of community,
Yeah.
that created a perfect hunting ground
Yeah.
for someone like Sobhraj.
It's a chilling thought to think about.
It is.
You've got this network of trusting individuals,
Yes.
eager to experience different cultures,
Mm-hmm.
and Sobhraj saw them as easy targets.
Exactly. He could blend right in, play the role of a helpful guide or a fellow traveler,
Yeah.
all the while plotting their demise.
It's such a stark contrast.
It is.
This idyllic backdrop of cultural exploration.
Right.
And then Sobhraj is lurking in the shadows,
Yeah.
ready to exploit it.
Ready to pounce.
So we've got him racking up these escapes,
Yeah.
honing his skills,
All right.
and now he's in this environment
Mm-hmm.
ripe for manipulation.
Yes.
So this is where things take a really dark turn.
Absolutely.
Right.
The Bikini Killer is about to emerge.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I think it's really crucial to understand how these early experiences really shaped Sobhraj's modus operandi.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a brute.
Right.
He was a very calculated predator
Yeah.
who knew how to weaponize trust and exploit vulnerability.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's like all these experiences were like building blocks,
Yeah.
leading to this perfect storm
Mm-hmm.
of opportunity and darkness.
And we're about to see just how dangerous a master manipulator can be.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we've got Sobhraj, this master manipulator,
Yeah.
in the heart of the hippie trail,
Yeah.
surrounded by all these unsuspecting travelers. What happens next?
This is where his crimes really escalate dramatically.
Okay.
It's 1975,
Okay.
and he commits his first known murders,
Wow.
targeting Western tourists in Thailand.
So he's graduated now
He has.
from petty crime
Yeah.
to murder.
To murder.
It's hard to fathom
It is.
how someone can go from that to this.
It really is. I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
There's the thrill of the con,
Yeah.
the power that he derived from outsmarting others.
Right.
But I think there's also this growing sense of ruthlessness,
Yeah.
a disregard for human life that becomes increasingly evident in
Yeah.
his actions.
So it's not just about money.
Yeah.
Or escape anymore.
I don't think so.
It seems to go beyond that
It does.
at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's playing God.
He's deciding who lives and who dies.
His first victims are Teresa Knowlton,
Right.
drowned in Thailand,
Uh-huh.
and then Vitaly Hakim,
Mm-hmm.
found burned in Pattaya,
Yeah.
and then the Dutch couple, Henk Bintanja and Cornelia Hemker,
Right.
poisoned, strangled, and burned.
And, it's disturbing because he uses their deaths to his advantage.
Oh, wow.
Steals their passports.
Really?
Assumes their identities. Travels to new locations.
Wow.
And continues his spree.
So it's like
It's a chillingly efficient
It's-
system of murder and deception.
So this is where Dutch diplomat Herman Nippenberg
Yes.
enters the picture,
He does.
right?
Yeah.
He starts investigating the murders of Bintanja and Hemker,
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect the dots and figure out who's behind these horrific crimes.
And Nippenberg really becomes Sobhraj's nemesis.
Yeah.
This determined investigator
Right.
who refuses to let this case go cold.
So he's really hot on his trail.
He's meticulously gathering evidence,
Yeah.
interviewing witnesses,
Yeah.
piecing together Sobhraj's movements,
Yeah.
all while Sobhraj continues to slip through the cracks.
But Sobhraj is not working alone here.
No, he's not.
He's got accomplices,
He does.
including Marie-Andre Leclerc and the ruthless Ajay Chaudhry. Together, they form this deadly trio,
Yeah.
and they weave their web of deceit
Uh-huh.
across South Asia.
Yeah.
So their next stop
Okay.
is Nepal, where they use the stolen passports of Bintanja and Hemker
Yeah.
to enter the country,
Right?
and within days they strike again,
Oh, no.
murdering Canadian Laurent Carrière
Wow.
and American Connie Jo Bronzich,
Yeah.
and their bodies are found burned,
Yeah.
just like some of the previous victims.
Yes. And
You mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that Nepal would ultimately be his undoing.
it will be.
So what leads to his capture there?
Well, it's a combination of factors, really.
Okay.
The murders in Nepal
Yeah,
create a lot of heat,
yeah.
and Sobhraj starts making mistakes.
Oh, really?
Back in Thailand, 3 of his French companions,
Yeah.
they find incriminating documents,
Uh-oh.
and they flee to Paris,
Wow.
tipping off the authorities.
So the walls are starting to close in,
They are.
but he still has that knack for escaping.
He does for a while, yeah.
So he flees Thailand,
Right.
resurfaces in India,
India again.
and murders an Israeli scholar, Avoni Jacob,
Yeah.
solely for his passport.
Just for his passport.
This really highlights
It does.
his growing desperation
Yeah.
and the utter disregard he has for human life at this point.
Yeah, he's like a shark,
Yeah.
constantly moving, always looking for that next victim.
He's a wanted man at this point,
He is.
leaving this trail of bodies
Yeah.
across multiple countries,
Uh-huh.
and he's still managing to stay one step ahead.
But his luck is starting to run out.
Okay.
He makes this very bold move,
Okay.
returns to Bangkok,
Really?
even though Thai authorities are actively searching for him.
It's almost like he enjoys taunting them.
It's a mix of arrogance and desperation.
Yeah.
He's playing this high-stakes game, and
Yeah.
he's starting to lose control.
He's even questioned by the police
I know.
while he's back in Bangkok,
Right.
but they release him.
They do because of lack of evidence.
Due to lack of evidence.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like a movie.
it is.
Meanwhile, Nippenberg is still on his trail,
Right.
building a solid case.
He is.
He gets permission to search Sobhraj's Bangkok apartment,
Uh-huh.
and he uncovers a gold mine
Oh, yeah.
of evidence,
Yeah.
passports, poisons syringes.
It's the smoking gun he needs to link Sobhraj to the murders.
But Sobhraj's long gone by now, right?
Of course he's fled to Malaysia,
Wow.
where his accomplice Chowdhury vanishes.
Oh.
Many believe that Sobhraj killed him
Oh, wow.
to silence a potential witness.
So no loyalty among thieves?
No, none whatsoever. He travels to Geneva.
Wow.
Continues his charade as a gem dealer.
Right.
But by May 1976,
Okay.
Interpol issues an international arrest warrant
Wow.
for him.
So he's officially a wanted man.
He is a wanted man on a global scale.
On a global scale.
Yeah.
The net is literally closing in.
You would think.
But knowing Sobhraj, he probably had another trick up his sleeve.
Well, he goes back to India and forms a new group,
Cool.
recruiting 2 Western women,
Really?
Barbara Smith and Mary Ellen Ather.
He just has this uncanny ability
Who does?
to draw people in
He does.
to his web,
Yeah.
preying on their vulnerability
And their desires.
and their desires.
Yeah.
He murders Frenchman Jean-Luc Solomon
Yeah.
during a robbery.
Right.
It seems like the pressure of being a fugitive is taking its toll.
It does. His crimes are becoming more impulsive, more reckless.
Yeah.
It's as if he's losing his edge.
Right.
That carefully crafted persona of his
Right.
is starting to crumble under the weight of his actions.
And then comes the incident that finally leads to his downfall.
Oh.
He targets this group of French students in New Delhi,
Right.
posing as a tour guide
A tour guide.
and offering them poisoned medicine.
Wow.
He tries to drug this entire group,
Yeah.
but it backfires. 3 of the students realize what's happening,
Yeah.
and they manage to overpower him.
Really?
It's almost poetic justice
It is.
that his reign of terror ends,
Yeah.
not in this daring escape or shootout,
Yeah.
but in this rather mundane hotel room,
It really is.
outwitted by a group of students.
Wow.
It's incredible how quickly his carefully constructed world
I don't know.
unravels.
It does.
He's arrested.
Right.
His accomplices,
Yeah.
Smith and Ether, confess,
Yeah.
further implicating him in the crimes.
Right.
He's sent to Tihar jail in New Delhi
Uh-huh.
to await trial.
And with this capture, a whole new chapter begins.
Yeah.
We've witnessed his rise as a master manipulator,
Right.
his descent into darkness,
Right.
and now we enter the phase of legal battles and imprisonment.
Right.
The question is, can he manipulate the justice system as
Yeah.
effectively as he manipulated his victims?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll find out what happens next right after this.
Okay.
All right, so you've got Sobhraj behind bars now in India awaiting trial.
Yeah,
You'd think this would be the end of the line for him.
you'd think so.
But something tells me this
Yeah.
guy wasn't going down without a fight.
Oh, absolutely not. His trial was a spectacle.
Really?
He fired lawyers left and right,
Wow.
went on hunger strikes,
Really?
even got his paroled brother Andre involved.
I mean, wow. Talk about a master puppeteer.
It was like watching a master puppeteer pulling strings from his cell.
Right, from his cell.
Yeah.
So he was sentenced to 12 years in Tihar jail.
Yeah.
But even prison
Right.
couldn't contain
And couldn't.
his manipulative ways.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I read that he was living pretty comfortably. Gourmet food, a TV in his cell.
All the perks.
How did he pull that off?
Bribery, mostly.
Really?
He charmed the guards,
Wow.
played them against each other,
Uh-huh.
and essentially turned his prison sentence into this twisted vacation.
I mean, it's almost laughable
It really is.
how he was able to turn the tables
I know.
on the system that was supposed to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
I mean, was he ever remorseful
Not really.
during this time?
Instead, he really just leaned into his infamy,
Wow.
gave interviews,
Oh, wow.
sold the rights to his life story,
Really?
and crafted himself as this kind of anti-hero.
Wow.
He was manipulating the media, controlling the narrative, even from behind bars.
Wow, so prison became his stage.
It did. It really did.
It's a disturbing thought to think about.
It is.
Someone who committed such horrific crimes
I know.
was able to turn their notoriety into profit and entertainment.
It really speaks to our fascination with true crime.
Yeah.
And I think, sometimes our blurred lines
Right.
between good and evil.
Yeah.
And Sobhraj understood that.
Yeah.
And he exploited it masterfully.
He did, but his time in India was coming to an end.
Right.
And he knew that Thailand was waiting to extradite him,
Mm-hmm.
facing a potential death sentence there.
Right.
He had to act.
An act he did. In 1986, he threw a party for the guards,
Wow.
drugged them,
Wow.
and escaped from Tihar jail.
I mean, are you surprised?
I mean, it sounds crazy, but it was almost predictable at this point.
Yeah. He was recaptured days later in Goa.
He was.
But this extra time in India
Right.
might have actually saved him.
That's the irony of it all.
Right.
By the time he was released in 1997, the statute of limitations
Wow.
for his crimes in Thailand had expired.
So he was free to go back to France.
He was, and that's exactly what he did.
So he basically got away with murder.
In a legal sense, yes.
Oh.
He returned to Paris, enjoyed his notoriety,
Really?
continued to profit from his crimes.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, especially for the families of his victims.
But the story doesn't end there.
No, it
In
doesn't.
2003, Sobhraj makes a baffling decision.
I know, a baffling decision.
He returns to Nepal,
He goes back to Nepal,
one of the few places where he could still be arrested.
one of the few places, yeah.
Why would he risk it all?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Some say it was arrogance.
Right.
This belief that he could outsmart the system once again. Others suggest that he just craved the attention,
Yeah.
the thrill of the game.
The thrill of the game?
Whatever the reason, it was a fatal miscalculation.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So he's spotted by a journalist
Uh-huh.
at a casino
At a casino.
and arrested.
Yeah.
This time, his luck had truly run out.
It had run out.
He was charged with the murders of Connie Jo Bronzich and Laurent Carrière.
Right.
And despite his usual tactics,
Yeah.
delays, denials, appeals,
Of course.
he was convicted
He was.
and sentenced to life in prison.
Wow.
Even in prison, though,
Right.
he remained a manipulator.
He did.
He married his interpreter, Nihita Biswas,
Wow.
in a ceremony that sparked a lot of controversy.
Yeah, a lot of controversy.
He continued to give interviews,
Right.
painting himself as a victim.
It seems that the serpent never really shed his skin.
Right. And then in a final twist to this incredible story,
Yeah.
Sobhraj was released from prison in December 2022
I know.
due to his age and good behavior. He was deported back to France
So frail.
and banned from returning to Nepal.
Banned from returning.
So after decades of deceit,
Right.
manipulation, and violence,
Yeah.
Charles Sobhraj is a free man.
It's hard to process that, isn't it?
It really is.
Especially for those who suffered at his hands.
It's been a wild ride
It has.
exploring this case.
It really has.
We've seen how a charming exterior can mask a really dangerous mind,
Yeah.
how manipulation can be a weapon,
Right.
and how justice
Yeah.
can be elusive.
It can be very elusive.
Do you think Sobhraj was ever truly remorseful?
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, the sources that we've explored,
Right.
they offer these glimpses into a very complex and very disturbing personality.
Yeah.
But the true nature of Charles Sobhraj
Right.
and the extent of his remorse
Yeah.
may forever remain a mystery.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yeah.
The story of Charles Sobhraj.
The serpent.
A tale of manipulation, crime, and ultimately
Yeah.
unanswered questions.
A lot of unanswered questions.
What are your thoughts on this case?
Yeah.
Did Sobhraj get away with it?
Right.
Was he a master manipulator or just a lucky con man?
What do you think?
We encourage you to check out the show notes,
Yeah.
explore the sources, delve a little deeper into the psychology
Yeah.
of this fascinating and disturbing figure,
Absolutely.
and draw your own conclusions.
Yeah.
Until next time, deep divers
Yeah.
keep diving deep.